Yeah, atheism and religion. What religion are you?
I personally identify as Christian.
Awesome. And atheism, you didn't choose to be an atheist. Tell them about it. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't really choose to be an atheist. I kind of grew into one. I would assume, like, I started out, spent my earliest years in private Muslim school, and was eventually asked to leave because I asked too many questions, and they don't
join ISIS.
They don't really like that in the religious community.
Get out.
Yeah, exactly. But as far as like, what exactly would you like me to get into? Because I mean, there's really so much I could.
What can Tucker do to prove that he's seen God, or there is a God?
Well, I mean, I don't necessarly.
Do I need to?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's
like
the point.
That argument isn't necessary because
it is.
I'm not.
For podcast sake,
because the difference between him and like the Westboro Baptist Church, you know what I mean, is he has his beliefs. And he's not trying to force his beliefs on anybody else, and he's very much in a live and let live type. I've only known you a few minutes, but I think that's what your opinion.
You're absolutely right, but from my background, from a Christian background, and you know, whether you want to call it evangelism, whether you want to call it preaching, whatever you want to call it, I have no problem talking about my beliefs either. You know what I mean? And I have no problem using my experience with my religion, with my God, my experience and the relationship that I feel, regardless of whether or not he recognizes that there is a God, I still feel that I have a relationship with God, whether or not he agrees, you know, and I use my experience and my knowledge and what has come to me through, you know, prayer and through study and through meditation, and I use that to guide my friends who come to me for advice. And so in a way, I believe that that's the way that Christians are, and the Bible means for us to spread God's word. And
how did you become a Christian?
You know, honestly, in a lot of ways, I was born into it.
You were indoctrinated.
I was, but at the same time, like him, I asked a lot of questions. I was constantly questioning it as a young child, and there have been hundreds of times throughout my life where I've struggled with my faith. And I've been like, man, I just don't know if God's real right now. You know, like I can't see how it all works out. But
what's the definition of God, though? Like, I think you really got to define, my God means this, you know, because I think a lot of people...
See, that's the big problem with religion,
but let me just say, let me just finish, though. Let me just finish really quick. Because most people, the general people, think like, oh, you believe a guy lives up in the clouds in the heavens? Like, he's chilling out there like an old man? Like, that's what literally some people think the Bible says. And it's not because a lot of them don't know any better, they weren't educated, or they just can't comprehend or understand it. They weren't born into it, so they have questions like, I don't get what you mean, you know. But me personally, Bible, metaphorically, I think it's a lot of metaphors. We take the Bible seriously, not literally.
There are metaphors in the Bible, and there are those times when they're not speaking literally. But another thing that you have to understand about the Bible, and that I feel people tend to forget, is we tend to deitize the writers of it. But if you look at who's actually writing in the Bible, it's just normal people. You know what I mean? The Bible is an account.
Mean? I never heard that.
Sorry, I kind of like created it in my head trying to think of the word, but we make the people who were the apostles, we make them into gods themselves.
Right.
And that's not the point. And even Christ, Christ, the Bible does tell me that he ascended from death and into heaven and stuff. And so in that sense, you know, you could view him as a deity, and he performed miracles, the work of God. And so in that sense, you could view him as a...
Couple questions.
According to the Bible, absolutely.
Couple
right.
questions for you.
It's a choice on whether or not you want to believe it.
Couple
Personally,
questions.
I do, because of what I've read and like...
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Man, so number one, we hear of these miracles, Moses opening the river and walking through. We hear of miracles of Jesus. I don't know. Why don't we see any of these miracles anymore?
Jesus was the Lord's last word on the subject, if that makes sense.
It does.
In my opinion, the Lord, the God, whether you want to call him the Lord or whatever else, I believe that God sent Jesus to perform his work, not just Jesus's work. There's many teachings of Jesus that I absolutely love and that I follow the teachings of Jesus because he preaches love, he preaches acceptance, he preaches for us to forgive all. regardless of what they do to us. You know what I mean?
Another question. If Jesus was like darker skin, black,
wouldn't matter at all.
Hold on, let me finish. Do you think so many people would worship him the way that they do? Because I feel like it was used as a form of control. How many African Americans that were slaves were told, well, you can start to be like us, but you still have to pray to God, and you still have to assemble like us and worship a blue-eyed, white-skinned man?
I mean, you can look at it like that, or you could not look at it like that. Really, it's in a lot of senses, because it's like, I'm here today with you. I have no idea. You know what I mean? I have no idea what the history behind white Jesus is. I have no idea the purposing behind white Jesus.
He's a rapper now, Slim Jesus.
Like it's
He's dead.
apparent. It's apparent that there are inert failures of the church. You know what I mean? There's been.
Have you guys seen that show, The Black Jesus, on Comedy Central?
Don't watch TV, but is
funny.
it good?
It's funny, man. You gotta watch
See, my problem with religion, and again, like, because I don't want everyone to jump on Tuck right now. It's just like,
no, don't worry about it.
Because it's not. My problem with religion isn't religious people.
I'm gonna jump on you too right now.
My problem with religion is when they are trying to tell people how to live their lives, when they're trying to work their way into science classrooms, when they're trying to change political policies.
Wait, what do you mean science classrooms?
Well,
school in general?
Like bringing creation stories into a science class where they don't have any place for.
Okay.
Or when they're trying to reduce human rights for people.
The story of creation should be left entirely to theology classes.
Exactly.
I agree
with
that.
No, absolutely. Because I mean,
agree with that.
And plus, I mean, it's almost as if they don't realize that when you do something like bringing a creation story into a science classroom, then you have to choose which creation story. Why not Why not teach all creations? Yeah. Every civilization in the history of man has had a creation story.
Right.
Like, why is yours any better than the Aborigines on New Zealand or Australia?
Who wrote the creation story? That's it's like,
well, that's what makes me not religious, and I'm an atheist. I'm a well-known atheist, and I'm going to say it right now. I don't know what there is out there. I haven't, and hearing YouTube brainiacs in here makes me feel like I'm a little bit dumber today.
But is there? Do you call yourself an atheist? Is there
agnostic?
No
I'm sorry, agnostic.
Okay.
Did I say atheist?
Yeah.
Atheist.
I am off.
You converted.
I was like, wow, I'm the atheist in the room.
No.
I'm agnostic. I'm sorry.
So this is cool. This is cool because we have someone who generally follows religion, and in the sense, religion isn't meant to be in a church. Christianity isn't meant to be in a church. The church is supposed to be the community. You know what I mean? Like, and that's pretty clear in the Bible. And Jesus didn't come to create a new church.
I like that.
Jesus came to abolish the old laws. Jesus came to forgive and to be the pure. Like, in my eyes, is Jesus is the pure and we're the impure. Inherently, we're going to make mistakes. Jesus didn't make mistakes.
Okay.
And when he was crucified, when he was murdered, his physical life was taken from him, then in that sense, through the blood of the pure, we were purified. You know what I mean? He did that for us. He knew that we were going to continue to make mistakes as people. We were going to continue to make mistakes as a civilization.
He was resurrected. So,
and when I break that, when I hear that, I start to break that down and go, He died for our sins. Feel guilty.
Not at all.
Let me finish. It's a mechanism used to make people feel bad because of a repercussion of making a bad decision. If I go out and start having sex with a bunch of different women, well, I might have children that I can't take care of. I might get a disease. I might just be a messed up individual because of all these problems I created. So when it comes to the belief of God, the idea of God, I'm 100% with it. I just don't believe there's a man in the clouds looking down at me right now. And that's the difference between an atheist and a religious individual, is that I don't think that there is maybe someone up there. I don't know, but what I'm telling you is the book that you have is definitely going to help people set up a better future and go down a straight road.
Exactly.
Except it's being manipulated today. Let me finish my statement. It's being manipulated today, and now that we can't compare what's good from bad, it's cool. It's good to be bad nowadays. It's cool to be bad. We're starting to find a blurred line of what is the difference, and we can't figure it out.
I disagree here.
Let's go.
I disagree here because any religious text you look at, whether it's the Quran or the Bible, in order for you to in order for you to kind of create a good moral path, like you said, you have to cherry pick. There are large sections that you need to leave out. There's large sections you need to ignore. In order to, because I mean, the same books that say, like honor your father and mother are the same ones that tell you how to sell your daughter into slavery if you want. Like there's a lot of things.
I'd like to hear a response from that.
So when you
Old Testament.
So, but he already said that a lot of the Bible is metaphorical and you're not supposed to take it literally.
Yeah, and a lot of the old laws were put in place as punishments, and the fact that humans were originally. After the original sin, we were put in charge.
Put the microphone closer to your face.
Sorry,
you can push it closer to your face. Just it's like you sound far away.
Is that good?
Better.
Okay, so
let's take a quick call, real quick.
Oh yeah.
727. I think that's the same guy, Chris. Skip that guy. So,
sorry, Chris.
I'm just kidding. Let me see what he has to say about religion. Hey, Chris, are you there? What up?
Because I heard. Yeah, I wanted to ask about the whole religious conversation because. I heard something about the white Jesus and how did white Jesus come to be. So I just wanted to add this comment, and tell the little history about that. Is that the portrait that most people see of Jesus nowadays in the Western world comes from one of the Pope's sons. The Pope had a painter paint his son, and this was Pope Borgia. I think he was in about the 15th century. He was the Pope, and he was one of the most corrupt ones. I mean, a lot of the popes have been very, very corrupt, but he was in the top 5 worst, and he actually resigned. I think because of how corrupt he was. People were so angry at him.
But when did they start bringing out these paintings of a white Jesus with blue eyes? I feel like it's for control, and I have nothing against my white people out there. Let me start off by saying,
little boy went to heaven. Jesus has green eyes, guys.
Yes, thanks for the call. Another question
Thank you for that.
He's actually Asian. I don't know if you guys.
And a big problem I have with atheists is that there seems to be no regard of a moral obligation to help somebody.
Not true.
Well, let me finish.
I don't agree with that either.
Let me finish because I'm not even done saying something, and you guys are already cutting me off. I can't even finish the damn sentence.
Go right ahead.
Well, when I hear, Family Guy, you said, why are you so upset about Family Guy? And I'm like, well, Family Guy is complete filth. It's not just an observation. You see the results of people's behavior, committing the same acts of just disrespect for women.
It's practically a kid's show. It's when you look at the context of it being a cartoon, kids are automatically going to be attracted to it, and they're seeing things like vast open sexuality, bestiality. You know what I mean? You see a wide variety of people being just complete idiots. And being completely mindless, and so that's what they do because
it's
people
been there, though.
And children,
Beavis and Butthead, all this stuff, it's been there.
Let me say though, good point, Mike. But it was on cable, dude. No, you had to buy cable to watch that show.
I can't finish sentences here, so I'm getting in like 2 or 3 words.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to go on to say that though, that it was. What Lou said, it was on cable. You paid for it. Now it's everywhere.
But even if it's on cable, all you do is go to your friend's house that has cable.
Yeah, exactly.
The point
is that people, and especially children whose brains are still developing, and they don't know because they're trying to figure it out. You know what I mean?
But
how do they figure it out? Is they emulate what they see. They emulate what they're around.
I'm going to say this, and my brother. I remember one time my cousin VHS recorded Beavis and Butthead Marathon. What are those capacity, like 2 hours on those VHS maybe? Okay. My brother, when I lived in Mexico, would just watch this nonstop. Like, watch it, rewind it, watch it, rewind it. And it was Beavis and Butthead. And he's okay. He turned out all right. He's not over here trying to go fire, like something, burn things down. So, like, this is my point being. I listen to a lot of gangster rap. I've been exposed to a lot of action movies, Grand Theft Auto. Does it make me a bad person?
What cartoons was Hitler watching?
Well, he wanted to be an artist.
But the point is,
Hitler was on methamphetamine. He was the leader of a freaking army that was going to destroy everything.
And they were on crystal meth.
Completely different. I mean, that's irrelevant. I'm glad you said that.
I'm just still trying to figure out how they cremated that many people that quickly. It never made sense to me.
How they what?
Cremated that many people that quickly.
I heard rumors.
There's a lot of confusion. I don't personally like talking about the Holocaust because of the fact that it's such a sensitive subject.
Well, I mean, what can we believe? I think that's what it goes down to. It like what
can I believe?
Well, this is the way I look at it. You know, why is it that people join in together? Hey, you want to go to war with Lou? Hey, you didn't? Okay, so if us three go in, we all share in the spoils of war, and that's what's been happening. That whoever wins the war writes the history, and it goes way back. You know, so many years that it's like who won. It's just like in the United States. Obviously, when I lived in Mexico, history was a little bit different. It didn't show, you know, the United States so glorious as we make it out to seem sometimes. But again,
well, I mean, the United States stole a bunch of land from Mexico.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Obviously, Mexican history is going to paint a very different portrait.
And that's the point I'm making, is that it's all perspective.
Back to the original point with Family Guy. What I hear when I hear these things is, I hear parents that are afraid to talk to their kids about uncomfortable subjects because a kid will see this on TV and repeat it to the parent, and the parent will freak out, and then instead of talking about it with the kid, they're just going to try to block the kid from ever being exposed to that.
Let me see what your moral compass is. Pornography on public television, are you okay with it?
No. Why would it?
Well, what's the difference between that and a filthy mouth, perverted, soft pornography TV show like Married with Children or Big Bang Theory, where all they talk about is...
Yeah, what's the difference between soft porn that is on freaking cable television?
And regular television.
HBO, Cinemax, all that stuff.
No, you're absolutely right.
Eliminate, blind date.
It's like, yeah, you don't actually see a D going into V, but you're still watching people having
one time
sex.
I was in Europe and brought like middle of the day, boom, like porn, like normal.
Oh, they got people on glass.
You walk down the street.
The real issue is basically just the sexualization of the human body, where a naked body equals sex, equals pornography, and pornography kind of messes with people, and you get people that are very disturbed by pornography.
There's a big difference.
So I don't think it should be just something you can just like flip on the TV and it's there right away. But I definitely, at the same time, don't think that it's something that people need to like try to censor or stop like rally against or anything like that.
You know, if
like,
there's
I'm
a
talking
pair
about pornography,
of boobs,
I'm talking about like cursing on television. Because
which they
like
do.
If you watch and plus it changes depending on the culture you live in. If you watch news in other countries like the Middle East or like third world countries, their news is so much more graphic and violent. Like they don't edit
show
things
bodies.
out. They don't even warn you when you're about to see something like possibly traumatizing. You know what I mean? They don't tell you guys about to blow his head off.
The reason it's traumatizing
warning
is
you should let the kids out of the room.
The
reason we're so traumatized by that versus other countries, these graphic images, because other countries don't hide it. They say this is the effing reality of war, and if you want our country to go to war, this is what you are doing. This is what you are getting if you want our country to go to war. They don't want us to see that. They don't want us to think that way, so they hide it from us, and then when we see it, we reject it because our minds can't comprehend it because we just don't know.
I don't think so. It's with exposure. I mean, I saw porn when I was like 10 years old. I was just flipping through VHSs and one came on of guys like rubbing their nuts on someone else. It was really weird. But I mean, what I'm hearing from Eddie is that, you know, it's acceptable because other countries do it. It's not uncommon. And what I'm telling you is that, is it right? Is it right? Is it the right thing to do for our kids to see? Is it the right thing to do to see our young women being exposed as prostitutes? Is this something you're okay with? Is what I'm asking. Let him answer.
I'm okay with children being exposed to nudity on television and in films, especially if they have parents that are willing to take the time to discuss the human body with kids and let them know that this isn't something that's weird or perverse. When you look at a naked man or a naked woman, there's nothing weird or perverse about that. You have all the same parts and all the same functioning, you know, because it's demonizing the human body.
Exactly.
And pornography is just one outlet of nudity. Like there's nudity in art. There's nudity in structural architecture. All the
sculptures.
But
they're not.
We should not be afraid of the human body. But he's right. When you cover your kid's eyes because all of a sudden a pair of boobs flashed on the TV, now what you've done is made it so that when a kid looks at it and they're naturally
doing something naughty.
They're naturally attracted to it because that's human nature.
It's
to be
programming.
attracted to.
It's programming because guys in Africa who see women's tits all day long do not have a boner when they walk around. They have to be stimulated by something, and it's a subliminal thing that we're doing to our kids. You watch Revenge of the Nerds.
It's because of the fact that we're sexualizing the body. Like, say,
Exactly.
as a child, if a woman's breast came on the TV, they would cover my eyes. And so what that told me was that because
Taboo.
Exactly, that it's taboo, that I shouldn't be looking at that because it's sexual.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's sexual, I shouldn't be looking at that. But really, there's nothing wrong with me seeing that.
It goes into the whole like blaming the victim as far as rape goes on college campuses. Instead of teaching boys not to rape, they're trying to teach girls to dress more conservatively.
Just because she's drunk, passed out in your bed, doesn't mean you have access to her. You know,
exactly. Or just because she's wearing a tank top and not a sweater every day, like, doesn't mean she's a sexual object that wants to be.
Exactly.
That wants to be.
Well, I disagree, because we have women walking around in underwear.
There are women who are trying. There are women who
if
are
I could finish,
trying, and it's
I can't
clear
finish.
when sexually provocative women that way who are trying to make themselves out as sexual objects. That's very clear. And
but they do that for shock value. They do that because
they need attention. They're missing something in their lives, and this goes to
we live in a society
level.
that makes it perverse. We live in a society that makes us like point at that and be like, she's doing something wrong.
Well,
exactly. And
again, it's a programming thing, and this is why I have a problem with the stockings thing, which is underwear. I don't get to walk around in my boxers. Why do you get to walk around in your stockings?
Actually, you're more than able to walk around in your boxers. I can leave this house in my boxers now.
I could walk out of this house in nothing but my boxers,
we'll
no
get
shirt,
harassed.
nothing. You probably won't. People will look at you like you're weird because it's
with
weird
a hole in the middle, my wiener
absolutely.
showing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if your
as long as your wiener is still inside of the boxers, yeah. But here's the difference: a woman couldn't walk outside in her panties because her breasts are illegal to show.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
If you breastfeed, it's not illegal.
But you're not showing your breast.
Yes, you are. I've seen a woman pull out her titty and start breastfeeding the kid.
That's not illegal.
They use blankets.
No, they don't. I've seen women all the time.
Why are men allowed to wear not have to cover their nipples, but women do?
But
I didn't hear what you said. You're just talking.
A woman can't just have her tits out for no reason. That's against the law.
And we can't just have our dicks out. Like, sorry,
the deeper question is, why are you sexualizing a woman breastfeeding? Like, why is that sexual to you?
I never said it was.
But you have an issue with it.
No, I said we're talking about nudity. We're talking about showing parts off that are triggering guys, because it's not like we don't look at women and we want to have sex with them. We are programmed that way now. So it's, to me, you're asking for trouble when you do that. Well, and it's not so much, well, it's the victim's fault. No, it's you're kind of presenting this information to people, and some people out there are messed up in their minds. Go ahead and just pick it back up.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and stand up and put it back there. Can you fit that? Or
yeah, one thing I want to say really quick is just when it comes to this, and I hate saying this because I understand that not everybody has their parents there. I get it, but it really is the parents or the grandparents or the uncle or the aunt or the cousins or the brother or the sister.
It's the society that takes a village to raise a child, and we have to understand.
And nobody is willing to like really explain it. Like, I know when I was young, my mother was very blunt with me when it came to sexual diseases, AIDS, gay people, sex. She would even be like, if you have to wear 2 condoms, you wear 2. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like, but I feel like a lot of, like, I was literally speaking to my wife, and I was like, hey, so, when you were young, like, did they talk to you about, sex and things like? She's like, nah, they really didn't. I was like, well, why? I was like, that's kind of like, and then in Mexican culture, to speak on, not everybody, but the majority of them, they really don't talk to their kids about it. Like, they really don't. And then it kind of correlates with these young kids, 14, 15, 16, popping out babies left and right. And they don't teach them about contraceptives. They make it taboo, but yet you're watching Sábado Gigante, and there's this girl in like a thong. The Mexican news, all these girls with their boobs hanging out. Like, it's just everything. You watch a Carl's Jr. Commercial these days. Everything.
I feel like everybody is not really, and it's not like we can do anything about it like that. We're not politicians, but I feel like, hey, if we have voices, we can make that difference, and we can have our voices heard. It's going to be hard to get people like Eddie to hear what I'm saying when he's got his own mindset, and that's what sucks about it. Is it's like, do you have any sisters, bro? Do you have a daughter?
I have 2 sisters.
Do you accept them wearing spandex pants?
Yeah.
See-through spandex pants.
They are individuals, and they can wear whatever they like, and I'm not going to blame them for expressing themselves.
Just like Eddie's going to Mars.
But if I've only got older sisters, but if I were in a
I have 2 younger sisters, and I've had to. Okay, so I actually feel like I should really speak up about this, because I have parents that have been my younger siblings have all had to come to me to have these uncomfortable conversations because I have very, very deeply religious parents that will immediately shut down or just end any conversation about any sort of uncomfortable topic, such as like sex or drug use or anything like that. So I've had to have them come to me for all of this, and I've actually had to have the sex talk with my younger sister.
And that's what I think is like part of the problems in a lot of cultures.
And I've had to, I mean, explain to her things.
Like, it's only weird to have that conversation with someone if you're feeling it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're sexualizing your little sister in that conversation, then of course it's going to be a weird conversation.
But it's all about just conveying the information and letting them know about contraception, letting them know about Planned Parenthood, letting them know about birth control. Because these are all decisions that they're going to be making.
I find it horrifying to think that people are walking around in underwear, and it's going to get worse as we speak. It is getting worse.
It has been.
People are getting more plump with the steroid chickens and stuff. We're getting fatter and
but Lou, if women started covering up their elbows and exposing everything else, in about 30 years, elbows are going to be the sexiest thing on the planet, and everyone's going to want to see people's elbows. Like, it's all because it's taboo, and we're sexualizing the human body when it doesn't need to be. Just nudity doesn't equal sex.
We're programming people.
Yeah.
But I mean, and that comes from old religious beliefs that come from our Puritan roots here in America. I mean, the people that moved to America from Europe weren't the most like sexually experimentative, open, progressive people. They came here to practice.
They weren't doing the Kama Sutra.
No, that was a little different. No, and instead, but also when you have these societies where human sexuality is when you have these societies where human sexuality is repressed and people are told that it's taboo and you shouldn't be doing this. That's where like the weirdest perversions come from. That's where you get like tentacle porn, and that's where you get like all sorts of crazies. Like
I've seen firsthand what the negative connotations on sex and perfectly natural body processes like this, the negative effect it can have on people. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's horrible. I don't want people to go through that, and
Have you guys been to public schools? I mean, it's scary.
So there's a story in the Quran. I got to throw a little religion back into this. This is all the prophets have their own powers. I kind of went over this the first time. It's kind of weird. They're all like superheroes. One prophet, his special power, his like ability was that he was just insanely good-looking guy. Wow. Super. Every woman in the village wanted him.
So what you're saying is he reincarnated as me,
that
right?
was he's Tuck with a beard. But
there we go.
But anyway, so he's super good looking guy. That was his like power, and everyone wanted to be his friend. And so he's an orphan, and he was living with this man and his wife, who were like big merchants in the village. We were kind of rich people. The woman falls in love with the guy. And she wants to show her friends how attractive he is. So she invites them all over, and they're all like sitting around chopping vegetables and fruit, which is what women did at the time, I guess. And then she calls him into the room, and they're so struck by how good looking he is, they accidentally chop off their own fingers while staring at him. Okay, so this happens, and then she kind of corners him in a room, just him and her, and she basically tries to rape him. She throws herself at him, and he says no. Wow. And he tries to run, and she grabs the back of his shirt and rips the back of the shirt. And then when he leaves, she goes to the head of the town. This is all a story from the Quran. So she leaves. She goes to the head of the town and says, "Oh, this guy raped me. We were alone in the room, and he raped me." And then all the wise people in the town gathered around. They brought him, and he's obviously denied it. And they said, "Well, no, look, his shirt is torn from the back. That means he was running away." And from then on,
CSI.
That was essentially the beginning of a man shouldn't be alone in a room with a woman because she could falsely accuse him of rape. Also, if she's alone in a room with a man, she's asking to be raped.
Damn.
That's where like rules about like covering up and everything, being modest, comes from. Just from a story about blaming the victim, basically. Like, and it all comes from this religious, like all this ancient religious crap that we're still like beating into children's heads today.
I think people really just miss the point of it. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the religious nuts and stuff.
Yeah, like
there's
the
moral of the story. The point of it, man. It's really. I mean, what?
Well, 6 billion people on this planet. I mean, you got to understand that we all can't be having sex with anybody we want to.
Yeah.
We got to find someone that's that's going to provide for us and help us in our lives and provide for them.
What about if there was legal prostitution, like recently Lamar Odom, in that brothel or whatever? Would that solve a lot of rapes? Because rape is huge. I feel like it's not talked about enough. And personally, I worry about it.
Rape is huge because a lot of it goes unreported.
Is traumatic. You know what I mean? And not for every single woman. That's not true. Not every single woman has a traumatic experience due to sexual work, but the majority, I would say, are getting into sexual work for the wrong reasons and don't know why. And when they get into it, they realize that, wow, like, I've just put a relatively small number value on myself, my body, like my sacred.
It's all psychological.
You know what I mean? So you're right, it is psychological, but I just feel that allowing legal prostitution would create a plethora of greater problems than it would solve.
How so?
Because you're gonna see a large spike in women doing this, not knowing that for their psyche,
they're already doing it at the massage parlors. It's already happening.
It's very true. It's very
true.
Been
happening.
But a lot of these women really are seeking attention and things from. They're missing something psychologically. You know what I mean? They're missing something in their big picture, and they're trying to find that, and they're trying to fill these gaps. No pun intended, but they're trying to fill these gaps inside.
But some of them love it. Some of them love the money too.
You're right. Absolutely.
Like you have this young generation following the Kim Kardashians.
I'm not saying
desperate times calls for desperate measures.
That it's for no one. I'm just saying that for the vast majority of people, from experience and from research and looking into things, the vast majority of people, it's a traumatic experience to them.
So why not legalize it so that guys can pay and be pleasured instead of having
a win-win situation?
Because then you're still going to have rapes, because then you're going to have guys who go out and spend $100 at a bar on some chick, and then when she doesn't want to have sex with him, well, I gave you money for sex, so I get sex. You know what I mean?
That's what she's not a registered prostitute. It's not legal. Good topics. Good topics. We got 19 more minutes. Anybody want to Tuck's going to be here for 19 more minutes. Yeah. You guys are welcome to stay as long as you want. But Tucker, did you want to throw another question out before you have to bounce, man? I have a ton of questions still, but about the religion thing. Stick on religion.
I mean, here's the thing: is like when it comes.
Are we all going to hell?
No, man. Of course not.
I mean, I don't follow the good book, bro.
Of course not. I mean, if you look in the good book, the good book really says nothing other than. The Lord is nothing but love and merciful. Like
this is where you cut in.
But if you don't, regardless, and it's okay if you disagree. It's okay if you want to look at the whole this and this. But
I listen to too much George Carlin.
Personally, I believe that there needs to be balance, and there are people on this earth who were created in evil. You know what I mean? And they were created to do evil things, and whether or not it's by God or by Satan, I don't know, but if it's by God, if he created someone to do something wrong for a different reason that eventually helps the path for society and for humanity to grow on a spiritual level, then in the end, it's like, is he going to punish that person because didn't he create that path for them? So really the idea of hell is more for it's there is hell, but it's not a place where humans go.
I think it's beyond our rationale. I believe we cannot understand, like a dog cannot understand how to work a keyboard. I feel like we're not intelligent enough to use enough brain to find out that we're actually here for this purpose.
I can't pretend that I have all the answers. I really can't. You know what I mean?
Nobody
it's just plain simple. Lots of people can pretend that they have all the answers. They do it on a daily basis. You know what I mean? It happens all over the place.
And they get their asses handed to them on Facebook.
Right.
By me.
Yeah, hey, I hate to cut out early, but I got to get going on my things. I got wedding planning and stuff.
Great having you on the show, bro.
So thank you very much, you guys. Eddie, it was a tremendous pleasure. Please add me on Facebook, dude, and we'll definitely look forward to chatting more with all you guys, and hopefully I'll be able to come out to the show again.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for coming in, bro. You're always welcome to come back. There's a slice of pizza if you want to grab one before you leave. Handle that, dude.
All right, thanks, brother.
All right, late, man.
The guests get taken care of on the show.
Go ahead, Mike. Take over, dude.
Right before, we're on a little break, me and Eddie were in a little discussion here, and he mentioned something that I I definitely agreed with. Before, you were at the parties or something, like in the corner debating with somebody, and it's like you're at a party. You're supposed to be having a good time, and, like, oh, this guy always thinks he's right or something. So now I kind of feel you, as you grow up, you kind of understand, like, okay, just because I believe this and I understand this, other people, I don't have to sit there and explain myself in full detail. And that's what I was discussing with my cousins the other day, and he kind of took offense to, like, oh, you don't have time for people. I was like, well, no, if it's going to be to argue or for me to prove something which I already believe in my reality, and I could be investing my time in a more wise manner, I'm going to go that route. You said teaching guitar lessons, obviously that's more productive than sitting there arguing with somebody that is just boneheaded, or not even boneheaded, but just they kind of like
unable to hear you out.
Exactly.
And when I was younger, I was a lot more angry about it. I was a lot more militant, because I felt I held a lot of resentment towards my upbringing in a very private religious school, and I wanted science and the laws of nature forced into people's heads like religion. They tried forcing it into my head, because I felt like, well, that's the only way you're going to get them to change, because that's the only way they tried to get me to change. But then you get older and you realize that you're all that's going to do is you're going to lose friends. Yeah. People are going to stop inviting you to parties. Like, no one's going to want to just have, what I mean?
Scratch his name
because I don't want to because I got to, I don't want to just start kicking people's doors down and being like you're a fucking idiot for not really believing in this and blah, blah, blah. Which is completely, it's not productive.
And you're like me, and I think Lou is also, as well. We're very passionate when we speak. We're very passionate sometimes when we really believe what we're speaking about, And sometimes people might be like, "Why are you getting angry?" I'm not getting angry. It's just that.
It's also a cultural thing. Because, like, for example, very recently, I'm hanging out with a bunch of I have friends.
It's like the United Nations.
When I hang, all my friends are like the United Nations. So we have 2 Argentines, an Arab, a Czech guy, someone from Norwegian guy. We have, but anyway, Latin cultures, Middle Eastern cultures, Italian cultures. Like when guys talk, like when you sit around and watch your uncles and dad stuff talk, like they're loud, they're yelling at each other, they're getting in each other's faces. They're not arguing. That's just how they talk. And then my girlfriend, who grew up obviously in a white family, isn't used to that. She's very used to people like politely waiting their turn, and then now you speak, okay. And so she's
Can
like,
I
"What?"
Say something?
Well, I beg to differ. and she was like, "So, why was your friend just like he wouldn't shut up and he wouldn't let anybody yell?" Like, no, we yell over each other all the time. That's how we communicate.
That's normal.
That's just how we talk. Word.
I hear that. Let's hear from Lou. I want to hear from Lou. I want to hear his perspective.
Lou had a bunch of questions for me before.
I had so much train of thought, and I was just like, dude, I don't have anything to say anymore. No, I'm just kidding. But your guys' future, man. What do you guys plan on doing for the next 5 years?
Well, I am currently back in school getting my degree in physics. I'm working on that, and I'm currently teaching guitar, and hopefully I'll be doing something in as far as like science and music and the physics of acoustics and sound.
Oh, that's cool.
That's what really fascinates me, and I'm always going to be fascinated with space and space travel. But
water on Mars.
We opened the show with that. I'm so excited. But they also just found signs of a superstructure orbiting a distant star. And they don't know what it is, but of course, immediately everyone's like, "Oh, it's an alien superstructure. It's we just found evidence of alien civilization." I'm like, no, it's probably just a floating rock. Like, don't jump to. We don't know what it is. It's got to be aliens. I just see the guy from the History Channel, the Ancient Aliens guy with the hair, like aliens, not the aliens. But it also goes into fear again. What we were talking about earlier, like they don't know, so immediately they're going to create something in their head to fear. Like God, like man. I think it was a Russian philosopher that said man creates God in his image, so that God could then create man in his image. Did that make sense? I think I totally paraphrased that incorrectly.
I didn't catch that.
So man created God in his own image. So when you think of God, you think of a guy with a head and a beard and arms. Standing up on a cloud somewhere,
smiling.
Man creates God in his image so that God can create man in his image.
Yeah. Before I used to really like welcome meeting new people and just kind of talking. And the more I did it, I'm a very social person. I get along with a lot of people. And I've learned, as I got older to just kind of the politics and the religion. I mean, I could talk about it, but again, I've learned time and a place, and sometimes the place is at a party. Sometimes.
No, bro, listen, man.
Because here's the thing. Like,
My God.
There's a cartoon I like to reference a lot. There's 2 panels. Well, first panel is a student, wide-eyed student, looking at his professor, and he's saying, "Professor, like, how do you know so much?" Because I opened my eyes. And then the next panel, you'll see a Zen master, meditating with a monk sitting at his feet, like with the same wide-eyed look, going, "Master, like, how do you know so much?" And the master says, "Because I close my eyes."
Damn.
And it's just and you have the 2 schools of thought. You have like the spirituality thought, and then you have the observational thought. And what people don't realize is, like, there's no divide between the 2. You need both. You need to observe, and then you need to shut up and close your eyes and think about it for a while. Like, you can have both. You don't need one or the other. And think critically and question whatever you just observed, and question your ability to observe what you just observed. Like, people don't realize that human eyes, when we're looking out into space, the human eye isn't made to see light coming from other planets and other stars, or light in different spectrums. We're only made to see light here on Earth. We're to protect us from lions and bears and stuff. Like, we're not. There's so much in space that happens that we can't even physically see, but we're able to see through our instruments, through our tools. Like, something I said when we were on the first show I was on here. When a scientist discovers something in space, they're not looking at these gorgeous pictures that you see on the internet.
Yeah.
They're looking at charts and numbers and graphs, and they're comparing changes over time, and they're analyzing data. And it's usually some graduate student doing research for their professor on some research project that the professor didn't want to work on, so he gave it to the grad student to work on.
Do my work.
And they're sitting there piling through like miles and miles, like pages of data, and they come across, oh, that's weird. And then that's usually what the next huge discovery is, when in science or in nature or in whatever.
What about this meme right here?
Switching the topic real quick. The Pope, he sells you an idea of heaven, but custom builds an armored vehicle to avoid heaven as long as possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like,
great topic. This is good, Mike.
Well, I mean, who wants to die? I mean, regardless of what you believe, there's loonies out there. There's extremists. I mean, we live in a day and age where there has been a pope that has been shot. So it has happened in the past. So it's nothing new. I mean, religion is probably the base of all wars on this planet. Like, it really is. So, I mean, when it comes to religion, when it comes to the pope, I don't know. I mean, I would have to do a little further more research. I've been to the Vatican. I've been inside there, and one thing I kept questioning was, I see this very expensive-looking place, and it's just
what a golden throne for the Pope.
Everything is golden, and you really start questioning things, But
Eddie,
I don't know how you feel, Eddie.
Honestly, I mean, the Catholic Church or just religions in general is just one giant source of contradiction after another. I mean, who would be more excited about dying than the people that wholeheartedly believe that heaven exists?
Yeah, I recall hearing people at church or something, and then I'll see them, religious people, and they'll go like, oh, someone's dying of cancer. They're that much closer to seeing the Lord. And I'm going, well, you can see the Lord right now if you jump off that freeway.
Yeah, like what?
Well, that's a sin, though. Wrong.
Killing yourself is a sin.
So you gotta be miserable here as long as you can until that dying day where you'll be going to heaven.
Doug Stanhope does this whole rant in his stand up about like whenever a tragedy happens or whenever like a baby dies after birth or something like that, you get people crying like, oh, but at least he's in a better place now. And he's like, well, why are you crying? You should be happy. You should be throwing a party for him. Like, did you hear my baby died? God liked him. And
whenever I talk about religion, I do think about the very sweet people that I've spoken with that have helped me in my life with whatever, or just walking down the street meeting someone that says God bless you, and it breaks my heart to tell them the way I feel, because I really don't want them to be like the way I think about you, about television. I'm like, come on, man, are you serious? And they're probably saying the same thing when I speak about God. I think that it's just my understanding is that you can't tell me something's real that I haven't seen or I can prove, and you can't tell me that I have to believe a certain way, because I have, and I remember going back to being afraid and having to pray every day and nothing changing, and it's like I'm doing really good in my life now, and I've stopped praying for about 10 years now. Nothing's really changed, but got better for me, and I just surrounded myself around better people. I've got to know great people, and they've helped me climb to the top.
And I think you've done a great term that he uses. You cherry picked what worked for you, and kind of did your own, kind of made your own mix mashup of your own religion, and that's what kind of happens with a little bit of hip hop, a little bit of music, a little bit of this.
Well, the reality is that we can't be perfect, and in any book, in any book or in any type of theory, there's no such thing as perfect. It's in the eye of the beholder,
and it's going to be interpreted in different ways. That's why, like us out here talking about it, and we're talking about change, and some people might be like, "Oh, well, you're just talking." I truly believe that most people don't talk. Just like we were talking earlier about the sex talk. Like, people don't communicate. If you can't communicate with your parents, how are you going to communicate with your officials, your government? How are you going to be a part of this structure of this country? You might not agree with it, but at the same time, we have to live and abide by these rules. Taxes, we don't like paying them. Everybody has to do it. Like, you really got to assimilate and learn, and communication is key. And unfortunately, I had to learn a lot of things firsthand, just like all of us do. They don't have unprotected sex. How many times do people hear that? And then, like, the girl's saying, "Oh, I think I missed my period." And now you're panicking. You're like 16, 17 years old, So it's until you experience something where you really cherish, like, "Oh, next time I should probably use a condom," Like,
I think you have to really psychologically build your mind to be very tough.
You do.
When I was a kid, I remember my cousins, I'd say something to myself, and they're like, "You talk to yourself? You're weird." And it just, like, destroyed me. I was like, because these are my cousins. This is supposed to be my family we're talking about. And I could never understand why they were such pricks. But when you look about where they lived at, the environment, the party crews that they were around, these guys had to be still, man, like still tough, because there was no playing around. It's in the hood with the worst gangs. Now, Monty, there's this horrible old school gang that just they don't want to change. They don't want to budge, and drugs are real big over there. And I think it all comes down to drugs. Yeah. We can't clear up our minds when we're on crack cocaine. We can't clear up our minds when we're on methamphetamine. I think we can clear up our minds when we're on marijuana, but some people would beg to differ.
Marijuana is a plant, though. It wasn't
exactly. It doesn't have to be messed with or chemical. Like, have you ever seen the way they make cocaine and heroin and all these drugs?
Or it's in a lab.
Yeah, it's in a lab. It's like they call it the cooks.
Well, I mean, it's a lab made in a trailer in the middle of the desert, but it's still a lab. Like, it's not grown, and that's why I kind of like I disagreed with what you guys were saying. Not to bring the conversation back to drugs or anything, but like I'm not afraid of any large corporation taking over marijuana or like subsidize, like, because marijuana is a weed. It grows everywhere. If Marlboro started selling weed, like, people would just start growing it in their backyards. Yep. Like, no one is going to
follow the rules.
Let a corporation destroy something, because it's not like tobacco that can only grow in certain climates and like certain conditions.
I think the community that the
it's not like alcohol that if you mess up, you'll kill yourself. Yeah. You can't make it in a bathtub.
Exactly.
Weed will grow anywhere.
Well, growing moonshine is or making moonshine is illegal, right?
But yet, absolutely.
You know what trips me out is, like, I'm watching like Nat Geo or something. They're like, they have a bandana and they're hey, they blur out their voices, like, we're gonna go do the drop, and they go and pick up, and they're like showing like this criminal activity happening, partaking in our society in like Miami, Los Angeles, New York, all across the nation, and like they're televising this, like they're literally like a slap in your face. Your drug war is useless.
Any sort of vice law, anything like that is ridiculous to have. Like having vice cops or vice law. I mean, vice taxes is a totally different thing. If you want to tax cigarettes, taxing weed, whatever. I mean, Colorado and Washington are making so much money now because of the legalized marijuana. But any sort of vice law where you have the government telling you, like, you shouldn't do this because it's wrong. And I'm not talking about, obviously, like stealing and murder and any like real crime. I'm talking about smoking cigarettes. Like, there's San Luis Obispo, California. You can't smoke cigarettes outdoors anywhere.
Really?
And they're making it so that you can't smoke cigarettes in your own home.
What?
Which is ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. I got to disagree with that.
Like, I can understand. I totally get not smoking in bars and restaurants. I get that. I totally understand. I'm eating. I don't necessarily want to smell cigarette smoke either. I can understand not smoking when you're like sitting outside of a restaurant, because smoke can go into and people get bothered.
Yeah.
But if I'm just walking down the street, or if I'm in my backyard, like, why does the government or anyone in that city feel like they have the authority to come to me and knock on my door and be like, "You're breaking the law"?
Well, they're making it law where it's illegal if you smoke cigarettes with children in your car.
Now step out of your home so I can arrest you.
No, exactly.
You need a warrant.
Because here's the thing: it's not, and it's much bigger than just cigarettes. Because if they can take away your cigarettes, what's next? Yeah. Like, when does it become a problem to the people that like
But Eddie, they're doing you a favor, man.
Exactly.
They're doing you a favor, bro.
But
they're
I don't want the favor.
Your life.
I don't want the favor.
They're helping you,
I don't
bro.
want to prolong life.
Come on, man.
I don't want to live past 70. I want quality over quantity. I don't care if I live a long life. If I die at 35, happy, great.
Back in the day, 35 was like 90.
Yeah. Seriously, like
I'm almost there.
I'm not afraid of death because I feel I've done everything in my power to live as much as I want to live in my short time on Earth. So that because I know I could go at any second. Right now, a meteor can crash into this room and kill the three of us.
Nuclear World War III.
Yeah, you never know when it's time
Tsunami.
to go. So
earthquake.
And
get yourself a gun so you can just end it quick.
But here's the thing: you can spend your entire life eating healthy, exercising, not smoking, avoiding bars, avoiding pornography. Cancer. You will still die.
I like pornography.
Yeah. You're still gonna die.
Yeah.
Like that is not gonna. You may delay it a little bit, but it's still gonna happen. And what comes is fear from death.
Again, fear. Me, it's not that I'm saying that I embrace death. Like I'm not ready to die, but if it were to happen, I get it. You know, it's life. Things happen. Like obviously, when I leave my house, you know, I do want to pray to whatever God may be in my mind, or whoever I'm praying to, maybe to my grandparents' souls that passed on, or where it may be, but just to look over us, you know, like, hey, I hope everybody gets to work safe. You know, just simple things like that. And
just positive vibes.
Just being a positive,
just
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I wish more people did that, because there are so many people that instead of doing what you're doing, like I just want positive things for people, they want to put themselves in people's lives. Me. Exactly. No, it's all egotistical. I forget. I forget who said this. It's either
Bill Cosby.
No. but anyway, the point is, people have a problem with there not being an afterlife because they don't like the fact that after they die, the party's still going on. Stuff is still happening after they die, and they're just not a part of it, and they can't deal with that. They don't like the fact that when you die, that's it.
Game over.
Game over. You know, you become one with the universe again. The earth breaks you down into particles and spreads you back out, and your energy
get eaten by a worm.
You get eaten by the worms and stuff like that. But they don't want to believe that. They want, because it feels good to believe two things. It feels really good for people to know that there's some sort of cosmic justice in the universe, that there's some sort of power outside of humanity that's going to eventually teach these bad people a lesson. You know, they want to believe that. It's very comforting to them to know that there's some cosmic, you know, so after we die, he may be living a happier life now, but he's a terrible person. And after we die, he's going to pay for it later. Pay the like it feels good to believe that. And it also feels good to know that after you die, there's another party to go to.
I think that's a way how people rationalize also, and saying like, oh, you know what, it's okay, we'll get the last laugh. You know, he's going to pay for it when he's dead or something. And the truth is, like,
that's just as immoral as him doing
it. The truth is, forget that. Like, people need to, I don't know, man. We're all in it together. We all breathe the same air.
I think it's cool that there is a story, a fairy tale, whatever belief system that makes you go, hey, there is a reason why I'm supposed to be here. Because I don't know what the hell I'm doing here.
But that's an important point to make.
Why are we here, Eddie?
Because here's the thing. I'm not for the complete, I don't want to abolish religion. I'm not saying let's get rid of religion. Because religion is such a powerful motivational force and tool for a lot of people to do good in the world.
It is.
And they use it as their motivation to get up every day and go out and do what they need to do.
General idea.
And that is beautiful. And I feel like
and then there's other people that are killing people or blowing themselves up.
If you abolish religion completely, this is a conversation I was having with a friend of mine recently. Like, if you the point he made was, if you abolish religion completely, you'll have literally millions of people on the earth that just won't find a reason to get out of bed in the morning anymore.
Yeah.
And that'll bring society to a complete halt.
Complete obesity.
So I'm not for the complete,
I think this is why the Bible says we forgive you for your sins, because they know you're going to F up. You're going to feel terrible about it, but you can say, I'm sorry, and you can keep going.
But you truly have to be sorry for it. Like, I want to say this, I truly believe that I have become a better person. I'm not the same person I was when I was 18, when I was 25, even when I was 30. I'm learning. One thing I'm learning now is I worry, and it's going to sound totally selfish, but I literally have to worry about myself and my wife, because that's who I have to worry about. That's my team right now. And like, if I don't work, my bills don't get paid. If I don't work, I don't eat, and that's what it really comes down to. Whereas before, I was so worried about helping everybody when I could barely help myself financially. And then what I noticed was that I was spending a lot of time with people that probably didn't deserve it. Like, 1 DUI, 2 DUIs. You know, somebody gets 5, 6 DUIs. You're like, okay, this guy's not getting it.
I think it's selfish though, because you're paying taxes. You're paying taxes. You're helping with the economy.
Helping welfare checks.
Exactly.
The point
paying
is,
for the wars that we're in.
The point that a lot of people are uncomfortable understanding is that good and evil are human-made ideas. There's no such thing as good and evil in the universe. We created those ideas because we're animals that can sit back and reflect on our own abilities. In the wild, quote unquote, the wild, because we're all nature. We are nature. But in the wild, outside of civilization, it's the strong survive and it's kill or be killed. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's what it was like with
us. We
us.
talked about on the last show.
Yeah. But you can't attribute good and evil to that. A lion doesn't kill because
he's a bad guy.
Because he's a bad guy, just because he's hungry, and that's how nature works.
But could a lion eat like fruits and stuff?
No, because they're carnivores. They don't get the nutrition they need. They didn't evolve.
Will they die if you feed them fruits and vegetables?
No, I'm sure they do all the time too. I mean, lions are just they if they're hungry, they will eat what's there, and
they'll survive.
They will survive.
So in a perfect world, like my sister, who hates the cruelty of animals and abuse, and
they might not become stronger lions, but I mean,
pussy ass lion.
Well, seriously.
Well, that's where I want to bring up gays, because a lot of people have bastardized gays over time. I mean, I included. I've used the word faggot multiple times and made a song disrespecting and stuff celebrities and saying they're weak. And I think it is that animal in us that wants to say you're weaker than us because you're more feminine or whatever. Now I've grown to the age now where I'm going like, what the hell am I doing? These are people like everyone else.
We see homosexuality in every species on the planet.
True that.
Like, it's not just a human thing. There are gay sheep. There are gay dogs. Like, there are gay caribou.
Bad.
You know what I mean? It's a biological thing. It's not. It's not like good and evil, which is a human construct. Like, and plus, good and evil is so subjective.
Eddie, a question: are you happy where you're at in life right now?
Yes.
Are you gay?
No.
Okay.
Lou, are you happy where you're at in your life?
I'm very gay.
Very happy. I like that. That's where I was trying to get to.
Maybe like 15% gay. I don't know. I like to clip my fingernails. I take care of myself.
Well, I think I'm going at a steady pace. Like
I can appreciate a good-looking dude. I'm like, dude, you got good features, man. Right? You have good hair. You have cheekbones.
You can't not notice, right? But I think
that guy from the book, the looks, the story you were saying. The guy with the good looks, he was a superpower, the prophet.
I want to pull up this video of this dude who's on the streets. I don't know if you guys seen this yet. It's a really cool video. Let's play it. Oh, this isn't it. This is another dude. This is a collaboration of Black and Brown, though. I think this is pretty cool.
Increase the peace. Oh, they're going to do a hip-hop corrido collab.
Sentado en una guerrera y escuchando un corrido de carro, un cuerno de chivo, hablaron de mis amigos, por no me recordaba todo lo que
That's awesome.
Well, that music translates to gangster rap pretty much.
Is he singing?
So they're looking for him for being in the mafia. He was talking about guns earlier.
Well, look what he does. Look what he does right now. So he was talking about something bad then. I thought that was cool, but that was bad, huh?
Yeah, that's equivalent to like the gangster rap, bro. Like all that type of music is glorifying a lot of these cartel.
That was bad then. Bad to see a black dude singing.
But it's kind of cool to see that he could appreciate the culture, and he was actually singing along. I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. You know, just like
it's cool. You want to kill people, bro? Respect.
It's entertainment.
Yeah, it is.
I'm a big fan of Malagueña Salarosa. Malagueña Salarosa.
I find it trippy though that people that are, like you said, from Spain call themselves Mexicans. They don't even know they're partially white. And all this brown pride talk and all. I'm not trying to hate at all. I'm just trying to say, here's the video right here.
Oh yeah.
That we don't even know who the hell we are. This dude's dope.
You understand politics?
What the hell are you so loud? Let's see, I'll lower this one.
think you understand political parties. You're all full of crap. You don't know what the Illuminati is. You're either Republican or you're Democrat. You're wrong! Why? It's this easy. It's called divide and conquer. That's why there's two parties and only two. And they're controlled by the same people at the very top who belong to the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberger Group. They also belong to the Trilateral Commission, and you people don't even know what the hell that is. But if you did know, you would know that these are the people that control your world by making global policies that you never vote on, and by which parties both serve and belong to these organizations and control your world. Now, here's how it works. Really easy. Divide and conquer can only work if the people that are divided are not aware of the falsely created division. If you're not aware of it, then it works. If you know about it, then it don't work no more. If you have socialism without capitalism, it becomes communism. If you have capitalism without socialism, it becomes fascism. And it's just that easy. I love you. That's all you need to know. That's why Masonic symbols are all over your freaking money. But you don't pay any attention.
He looks like a disgruntled elf or something.
What I love is like it's always someone that looks like that that's screaming these messages, and what he's saying makes absolute sense. Don't get me wrong. He's not saying anything like crazy or he's not
just saying the truth.
He's not spouting lunacy.
He's on point.
But the fact that he's like wearing ripped up clothing. He has a Santa hat on. He's dirty. Like he
looks like he's from the medieval times.
Because it's almost like they want to paint the picture that the people that believe these things, you look like that when you say these opinions.
And it's been happening. They televise it. You know, actually there was a post that my brother-in-law had put up, and it was an older show, and the guy comes in talking about Rockefeller, you know, what's going to go on, what's going to happen, and he's talking to the investigators, and they're just looking at him like, where's your evidence? And he shows them some magazines like The Truth Seekers, and they just they clown on it. They make fun of it. You know, they demonize you.
What's up with that picture of the Pope kissing Rockefeller's hand?
I saw that.
What was up with that?
I think I have that somewhere.
New World Order.
That is nuts.
Well, what is this that everybody does?
And
this?
Everybody does this. You know,
so that's a Catholic sign. Ronnie James Dio, who's a metal musician, turned it into like the rock and roll kind of sign, but it's an old Catholic kind of like blessing.
You notice a lot of people do that, or they cover their one eye or something like that.
You guys hearing a lot of crackling sound?
I am hearing snap, crackle, and pop.
Someone hitting a wire, or is anyone touching any wires or microphone wires? Because when you hit the microphone wire, that's when it does that. If you're
maybe the phone, no.
No, if you're touching the microphone wire, that's usually where we get that.
Not touching.
I'm not even moving. You guys don't look like you're moving.
I like to make popcorn inside the computer tower.
We had the Million Man March the other day.
And nobody televised it, right?
Not even televised.
Not even VET.
C-SPAN did.
What does that mean? I mean, what do you mean, what does it mean? Haven't you seen what I see on that screen for yourself? We need justice. Then they say, yeah, we need justice, but what you mean by or else? Well, we mean justice or else we're going to withhold our wealth. We're going to give them back their Christmas and leave them toys on that shelf. You see, up to this point, we the only ones being slain, so it's time to exercise our power and redistribute that pain. It's insane to do the same thing and expect a different result. The same ones who made us slaves is the ones we keep asking for help. Now ask yourself, how you gonna win fighting in the court when the ones who commit the murders is the ones who write the reports? All the lives we done lost, the tears we done cried, the promises was made, all the years they done lied. Ain't you tired of being tired? Or hearing one of us died, and whoever killed them ain't guilty, or don't even get tried? Cops don't even get fired for choking us on camera. But we worried about Black Friday and taking pictures with Santa. You can't expect respect when you don't respect yourself. When the ones sent to protect and serve don't protect, you gotta protect yourself. You can't expect no one else to love you more than you, so that means that all else is totally up to you. What you willing to sacrifice so your kid can have a life? Let's take Christmas from Santa Claus and give it back to Christ. And we're asking nice is a demand. This ain't a march, we gon' stand. Man, woman, child together, hand in hand. Cause we understand the facts of the matter. So we can't say all lives until black lives matter. But black lives doesn't matter to black people. And the facts is, blacks kill most
black people. But the difference, when they kill us, they don't let it slide. You see, Ray Ray found guilty before he even get tried. Tank Tip D, the government is on notice. They're not gonna keep killing us and have us fill up your quotas, giving us jail records instead of diplomas. That 40 acres and a mule, we're gonna need what you owe us, or else.
Yeah, it's someone say something on the mic?
Talk about passion right
it's
there.
Eddie, it's your mic. I don't know what's going on over there. But your mic was the one that was crackling. I think.
I am slightly radioactive due to exposure.
Septa mentioned that song, radioactive, radioactive, like
desensitizing us to
are we being radiated?
Reality.
Well, we're constantly being exposed to radiation from the universe. It's not just cell phones. It's the sun. It's other stars.
Of course, but I'm talking about like the meters of it, how powerful a phone can be, and we can't see it, right? We can't see the radiation, but they have meters that can detect how many levels of how much is coming off radiation of a phone. So when I say are we being irradiated, is that the correct term? Radiated?
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about what happened with Japan with the earthquake and the nuclear waste going into the oceans and going into the fish and going into our stomachs. I'm talking about everywhere, like our cell phones, especially because what do these things do to us?
It's cell phones is a technology that at least in the as far as the level of people, the access that people have to them, hasn't been around for that long. It's almost the same. You can also compare it to like LASIK eye surgery. You know, this is something that's really been around for 15, 20 years. We're still studying long-term effects of like cell phone usage, and there's so many different variables depending on like where you live, how often you're talking on your cell phone, what you're using your cell phone for. I know more people that have their cell phones and barely actually talk on the cell phone, more use it as like a portable computer than a cell phone. There's just, I mean, I'm not, and I don't want to talk about something that I'm not really that informed in, but just from my, just trying to like kind of work it out logically in my head, I can't say that we know what the long-term effects of extended cell phone use are, but I'm not going to believe that my cell phone.
Oh, it's harmless. It's harmless.
I'm not going to say it's harmless either, but I'm also not going to just start fearing something I don't understand. You know what I mean? Because if it's easy for them to tell us something like your cell phone is going to give you cancer, and that's immediately going to make you afraid, and then start jumping to your own conclusions. You know what I mean? What my opinion is, I'm going to hold out until I see some more studies being done. But until then, I don't necessarily believe that cell phones put out anywhere near the amount of radiation that would give us any sort of cancer or anything like that. No way more than just being out in the sun does. No way more than just breathing the air in Los Angeles does. Like everything around you causes cancer. So it's not something that's special to just cell phones. Cell phones aren't introducing a new type of cancer. You know what I mean? So it's not something I'm necessarily afraid of or going to.
Well, we don't know that yet.
And when an actual scientist comes out with research and shows that this does in fact do something to your body, then I will start buying into that. But until then, I'm going to go by my own, kind of logical reasoning and not jump to a conclusion that quickly.
Nice.
Because they say the same thing about LASIK eye surgery, like people that go get their eyes laser surgery so that they don't have to wear glasses anymore. We don't know the long-term effects of LASIK eye surgery. 20, 30 years from now, we don't know what your eye is going to be like because people have only been doing LASIK eye surgery for like 15 years, 20 years. It's only something that came around before we were in high school.
Well, I think that applies to like most drugs in the medical industry or field or whatever you want to call it. It's just like a lot of them are guinea pigs, like you were saying earlier, about these people having issues or night terrors, whatever you want to call it. But it's always at the end of all the commercials, may cause internal bleeding. We've touched on this so many times, and people are still willing to be a guinea pig. I know that, when I go to the doctor, and actually I was having this conversation with my cousin just the other night. He's like, can you believe I went to the doctor, literally saw him for like 5 minutes, and it was $200. He's like, I didn't even do anything. He like literally just talked to me, asked me like 1-2 questions, and that's it.
But here's the reason why you pay doctors, because they took the time to learn all the shit that you didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They spent an extra 4 or 5 years in school to learn as much as they could about the human body, to become a physician, to become a surgeon.
But do you think that they're also influenced by meeting, by selling a certain product as well? Because it seems like most of them, I mean, there's more overdoses on prescription pills than alcohol and other drugs combined.
Absolutely. There are some doctors that are definitely taking, that are kind of puppets for the pharmaceutical companies. There are some doctors that get pushed into prescribing more of a certain medication. Thankfully,
do you think that they truly believe in the medicine, or it's just something to financially, make gains for themselves, or a little bit of both?
If it's very, again, once you ask as a patient or whatever, you're able to ask your doctor these questions.
Correct.
A lot of people will just accept the prescription, but what people don't realize is, like, you can't get second opinions.
Yeah,
you can talk to more than one doctor about something.
It's so funny you touch on that, because I tell my mother and my father all the time, like, you need to get a second opinion. I'm like, who is this guy? I was like, really? I'm like, this guy's saying you need this surgery. I was like, you look healthy to me. It looks like he wants to make some money. Like,
the doctor in the room is the most educated person on the human body. But he's not the only doctor in existence.
Exactly.
And while I would promote trusting him over anyone else in the room, I would also call another doctor and find out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people, and I was telling Lou this earlier, like, there are some people that can go on the internet and get doctorates in, like, hypnotherapy and stuff like that over a few months.
Wow.
You get these people that'll go into their office and see the doctorate on the wall, and they won't even ask, like, where did you get that degree? What did you have to research to get the degree?
Exactly.
Like, the questions are like that are important, and a lot of people don't even know that they're able to ask that. They think if they ask a doctor where they get their doctorate, they're going to be like, it's insulting to the doctor. The doctor spent 10 years of his life getting that doctorate. Of course he wants to tell you where he did it and how he did it.
Yeah,
like,
but they see hundreds
an accomplishment.
They see hundreds of people a day. They look at you like a number sometimes. We got a phone call from somebody. Who's on the air?
What's up, man? It's me, Kevin, man. How you guys?
What up, Kevin?
What's up, man? It's me, Kevin, man. What's going on?
Well, man. Hey, man, I love your show, man. I'm glad I'm on here.
Why are you on here, man? What do you got? What kind of question you got for us, man?
Well, I'm just hearing you guys on that whole the whole prescription stuff, man. It's pretty crazy nowadays. Like, I was just calling in to ask a question about, like, what do you guys think about, according to back to that? Do you guys think everybody, like, I don't know if it would be a.
You got no question, man. Late. So, yeah, when I go to the doctors and, like, a doctor's telling me, what's wrong? Well, I got this little spot on the back of my back. Can you check it out? Oh, yeah, we can remove that. We're just going to put a compressor on there, and we're just going to spray it, and we're just going to remove it. And I'm like, okay, cool. What are you going to do? It's antifreeze or something. I'm like, all right, cool. And then he says that's going to be completely removed, and I look on my back, and it is removed, but around it's still, like, black. And I'm like, he said the whole thing was going to be gone. And then when I go to the doctor's, I'm like, I got some on my lip. I got, like, this, like, white pigment that's a little bit lighter than my regular skin. All right, let me just put a shot in there. I'm like, well, what the hell? What are you going to put in me, dude? Like, I always do that. I don't trust no doctor. Yeah. Yes, they're highly educated, but we brought a doctor on the show that said some crazy things, and I'm like, what the? So a lot of people, they can say a bunch of things, but we don't really know who the hell they are, and we don't know their personality. What up, man? Who's on the podcast with DJ Lou, Eddie, and Mike?
What up?
Hey, what up, man? My bad. My phone.
You got T-Mobile or what?
Man, my bad, man. I got that Metro line, dude.
Oh yeah, I hear you, bro.
Hey, you're on your Open Mind podcast, man. What's your question, man?
Hey, man, my question is, like, do you think that prescription pills, like, mess with people's, like, as far as
they're
like,
boners.
I think, yeah. No, like, a serious question is, like, because I know a couple people that are on prescription medication, and, like, as the years go on, it kind of just makes you, like
dumb?
An addiction. Like,
definitely.
Addiction, maybe.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You think, like, some people, like, use that to go to sleep. Some people use it to be up, so it's kind of like, it's a back and forth thing. Like you guys said, like Eddie said, a lot
Kevin,
of this thing is a dollar. A lot of people look at you like a dollar.
Let me ask you a question,
sign,
Kevin. You have
What's up, man?
You have children, so when you take them to the doctor, I mean, are you, like, do you confide and, like, trust your doctor when it comes to your children, or, like, what precautions do you take as a father, taking your children to, like, the doctors per se?
basically I just take them, and I'm not gonna say I do trust them, because therefore, you know, like, they have a diploma, they studied this and all that, so you're just to believe that they're gonna, you know, put your kids' faith or their health in their hands, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I take it, like, as far as, I mean, I got to say that I do put a lot of faith in them, you know. So I'm pretty sure that we're also like a big profit for them, you know. Like, as far as that, they're not gonna.
I'm glad you put a lot of faith in your doctor, because if there's any professional out there to put faith in, it's going to be like a medical doctor. But
of course,
but it's also. I understand that's an unpopular opinion, but I mean, what's the alternative? Like, you go get a doctor. You know what I mean? Like what's you need? It's a necessity. But kind of like the point that Mike and I were making earlier. It's like you have to trust them, but at the same time, there are other doctors there. So if the doctor is telling you something or doing something that you personally don't think is right, or doesn't, just feels kind of shady, it is completely your right to go see another doctor and get a second opinion. And
that goes for dentists, that goes for policemen.
Oh, anyone that's putting you under any sort of anesthesia, anyone that's giving you any sort of medication. Like a lot of times,
your
like,
butthole hurts.
to kind of touch upon addiction. When you brought up, it's a gray area, because so many, like we were talking about drugs earlier, and I made the point that different people just have different tolerances, and so many people.
I could drink a lot.
There's so many reasons. There's so many different reasons why people get addicted to the things that they do. It could be as simple as one night they took more than the recommended amount, and now they need that amount.
But what happened to Michael Jackson, though? I mean, he was under a doctor's care.
Like Lamar Odom.
Yeah, it could be as simple as one night they didn't feel like it was working that well.
Lamar Odom was doing cocaine, bro.
Well, in that case, when you're talking about like narcotics, it's for, again, you're dealing with a
Lamar
huge.
Odom. He's kind of.
You're dealing with a huge gray area, because there's so many different reasons why people get addicted to the things that they do. Like, there are people that get addicted to chapstick. There are people that get addicted to nasal inhalers, like nasal spray, decongestant, nasal spray.
That's
like
crazy.
The human brain is just capable of so much weird stuff that we're still trying to. They're still trying to research why. You know,
so they're like, why not make some money off it? But, you know, at the end of the day, I want to believe that medicine is helping us. You know, I just think
absolutely.
That it's not a cure, though. Absolutely. It's just a temporary solution.
Exactly, but you know, what?
I'm with Lou. I'm with Lou right there. It's not a cure, man. There's only a temporary, like.
I just said that, man. Shut up.
But there is no cure, man. It's like cancer, man. There is no cure, man. There's only something that.
Well, there's
the cure to everything is enjoying every minute of life.
The cure to cancer is,
hemp oil.
Here's something you can have faith in the scientific community. Yes, there are bad doctors out there. Yes, there are doctors. Yes, there are doctors that are in it for the money. But there's also an equally, even not more, amount of people that are putting in hours and hours and days of work to cure cancer, to cure diseases, to get rid of the things that are ruining people's lives. Those people aren't talked about. I'm talking about.
I think that's just a flaw, though. I think that's probably not true, because. I mean, how long has cancer been going on, man? And it's like, how could you not find a cure from HIV?
Because here's the thing about cancer. Cancer isn't. There's not just one type of cancer. Cancer is something. Cancer is something that changes and evolves with time, and it changes with the changes that we make in the world and things that we expose ourselves to. So you can't just it's difficult.
But what is cancer? What is cancer?
Cancer is the introduction of molecules into your body that your body doesn't know how to get rid of. So what they do is they accumulate, and then they create these growths either in your as tumors inside your body or on your skin. These are I'm kind of blanking on the name of the molecules, but there are these molecules.
But they attack like the white blood cells or something like that too.
Different ones do different things.
It
depends on how you contract the cancer, how it grows, how long before.
How do you feel about chemotherapy?
Your body,
you think chemotherapy?
Chemotherapy is something that is unpleasant.
It's radiation, right?
No, that's radiation therapy.
Oh, okay.
Chemotherapy and radiation therapy are two things that are very unpleasant to talk about and go through, But currently, for certain types of cancers, they're the most effective ways to either reduce or remove completely. And it's really when someone goes into a doctor's office and gets told about the different treatments available to them, because I've personally gone through this with an old girlfriend's cousin who's a firefighter who moved here to California specifically to seek treatment for cancer. Wow. You're presented with different options for treatment. You get different doctors recommended to you. So it's not something that like they're taking a freedom away from the patient. The patient is able to make the decision like, do I want to put myself through this? Or do I want to just live it out? Yeah. You know? So it's again, medical profession is the one that you kind of need to trust when you're having an emergency, or because you get a lot of people that talk trash on doctors and stuff until they have a disease and they need help.
Does it matter if they're a man or a woman?
Well, it's kind of like you can't really talk trash on a doctor when that's the last place you're gonna go to when you're feeling sick, man.
No, it ain't. Kind of like when people are saying "fuck the police."
But you also need to realize that doctors.
It's like police, you know, like it's like people talk so much crap, and at the end of the day, they pick up the phone and they call 911, and first person to come is the cop.
Do you believe in like replacement of body parts, like, you know, cloning animals and future cloning humans?
Well,
hey, if you're out of a liver, man, and you have to wait on a waiting list, or you have to go through kidney stone,
we're like
dialysis.
So this
is
give
me that line.
We're like jumping into we're like jumping into a totally different thing. So there's different moral and ethical questions that get risen when you're talking about cloning.
You're like playing God.
Well, no, because as soon as we started experimenting and learning about the human body, we started playing God. Like as soon as we started curing diseases and you know learning about surgery, we started playing God. Like that's what medical is.
Why is that?
Well, because we're basically, you know, if you're of the belief that God created everything, then you also have to believe that God created that disease and that God purposefully gave.
You just said it. You just said it. It's belief, huh?
It's so if you're going to believe that God created everything, you also have to then believe that God created the disease, and then God wanted that person to have the disease. So when you bring in a doctor to cure the disease, you're overruling God's decision to give that person the disease. So you're playing God by taking antihistamines.
Good point.
You're playing God when you take when you use antibacterial soap, like. People play God all the time. We played God when we turned bananas into edible fruit.
As far as like as a doctor though, like as far as that in the medical field, what do you think they think about, like as far as God and all that? You think they like kind of put that to the side maybe?
The majority
their own.
The majority of doctors aren't thinking about playing God. What they're thinking about is
saving lives.
They're thinking about their Hippocratic oath to save lives.
Scientifically, like what's going on right now, you know?
Hippocratic oath, what is that?
All doctors take a Hippocratic oath to do whatever they can to, if they encounter someone in need, they will help them. If they're at a movie theater and someone falls and has a heart attack in front of them, he's going to, even though he's off duty, he's still going to jump in there and try to help that person.
Because he knows what's wrong.
He knows what's going on. And then you get a bill in the mail a week later.
Because he knows that he's capable of helping that person and he should help that person because he's a medical doctor. So when they're learning how to cure, when they're researching diseases and they're researching different processes to remove diseases from humans, they're not sitting there thinking about, are we playing God? They're thinking about, how am I going to save this guy's grandmother? How am I going to save this guy's kid? They're not thinking about, wait a minute, should I stop and think about what God wants?
And the term diagnosis is pretty much like, I'm going to experiment on you.
No, a diagnosis is the doctor's.
You're giving them the liberty to try to find out what's wrong with you.
A diagnosis is after you come to a doctor with a problem, whatever it is, the doctor will observe. They will look and they will run certain tests.
Scientific method, it sounds like.
Exactly, and then from that information that they're gathering, then they'll make an educated guess onto what it is, and that's their diagnosis. Mm-hmm. Now, the diagnosis isn't something that you need to just accept and then act on. You're able to go to another doctor
because you might have similar symptoms for different diseases.
Have, because here's the thing, different doctors.
So how much percent do you think that the first doctor will be right? I mean, like
a lot of it depends on what your issue is. You know what I mean? If your issue is,
well, what about if you never?
Hey, what's that doctor from The Simpsons? Hello, everybody.
Like you don't want to go.
Hey, doctor.
You know what I mean? Different doctors depending on where they were schooled and where they're currently practicing.
Hey, Eddie.
Yes.
As far like Eddie, I have a question for you, man. You seem like you're on top of it, bro.
One question at a time, bro.
Hey, I have a question for you since like now I'm hearing it and it's like getting more interesting. Like, do you think like most doctors like?
Hey, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Kevin. Kevin, let me ask you a question. Kevin, let me ask you a question. If you were a vegetable, let's say you got in a car accident and you were paralyzed, right, and you couldn't wake up, and you were on the machine that's keeping you. Yeah, would you ask your girl to pull the plug, or would you continue to want to live because you don't believe in abortions?
I'd say pull the plug.
You don't believe in abortions, so would you allow that or what? Yes or no?
Taking up too much electricity, bro.
I would be like, disconnect me, man. You know, that's the way. That's the rule.
Quality over
life,
quantity.
You know?
They just made a law into California, right, where you could pretty much have a doctor's assistant.
Oregon is the only, I think Oregon is the only state in the U.S.
The organs or the body or the
no, the state Oregon. Is the only state in the U.S. that currently allows assisted suicide, doctor-assisted suicide. So if you're terminally ill and you have like no time left and you want to end gracefully, in Oregon you're able to do that, but you have to have lived in Oregon in a year for it to qualify.
Well, California too. Kevin, let me ask you another question. Go ahead, man. What are we doing on this planet, bro?
What are we doing in this planet?
Yeah, like what is life, dude? What are we supposed to?
Like what do you live for? You mean? Like,
no, I'm asking you. Like, what is life, bro? For you, like, what is it?
Honestly, it's like a book, man. There's different pages of life, bro. It's just everybody has their own page, and everybody lives the way they want to live. Like we're on here on this planet, I think, just to make to make a living, bro. Like life is just temporary, man. Like I think there's somebody somewhere else, somewhere, I don't know where, man. But I feel like we're just here. Just to enjoy happiness and to live it to the fullest, man. And
so it's a big party. There's no work involved.
Well, the humans created a lot of other stuff, man. It's like, you know, like when you're born, bro, it's like a fresh computer. You put what you want into it, you know, and that's the way
programming.
That's the way people are
installing.
People are programmed, bro, to hate, to be angry, and you know, of course, etc. But I'm not gonna touch that subject because we go for days, man. But like.
All babies are born atheists, by the
way. Like atheism and all that crap. That's the long story, man.
All that crap, man. What's up with that? You know, Eddie's an atheist, right? And I'm agnostic.
I don't take any of it.
I'm offended.
I don't think he meant to. I don't think he meant to be.
I think he means it in a way where it's just like, you know, we can get involved and absorb with just so much, whether it be religion.
You're permanently banned from my show.
I'm not going to come up here and defend atheism because there are just as many atheists that are atheists for the wrong reasons, and there are Christians that are Christians for the wrong reasons.
Have you seen that movie?
Hold on, let me talk. So the statement you made about we never see an atheist like in a group of a terrorist act kill many people.
Lie.
Lie. I think that it's kind of not fair to say that because we have like gang members. They're not really religious because they have the audacity to go and
now they got tattoos of
the Jesus Christ statue.
But here's the thing: are they doing that in the name of atheism? Like, are they doing that?
Probably,
there is no name to atheism because they believe
Stephen
nothing.
Hawking. Like I don't
science speech.
Like you never hear. A shopping mall in Southern California was bombed when 25 atheist rebels went in to protest the Pope visiting there.
Hold on.
Like you don't hear stuff like that ever happening.
Go ahead, Kevin.
That doesn't mean that they're not terrorists, man. That just means that they're secretly hidden, you know.
Right, because atheists have no belief in anything.
When atheists,
they have no label, like you said, you said so yourself that you don't like to be called an atheist because you don't want to be titled as something that belongs to something.
Because why? Hold on, I'll tell you why though. Because he's a
terrorist?
I don't know if that's how you feel, but so a lot of people, they're scared to say they hate God or they don't believe in God because they're scared. They are, and because they're scared that one day they will repent.
Are you scared of Jesus?
Nope.
Eddie said he's not scared of Jesus. You're lying.
Well, because don't put words in my mouth. But here's the thing. It's not because first of all, atheism or atheists have a stigma. when you ask someone like, oh, what's an atheist? Like, oh, they worship the devil and they eat babies. And they don't believe in God.
Smoke crack.
That's another lie.
Like that's all kind of like the stigma. Just like Christians have a stigma. Like when you think about Christianity, you think they hate gay people and they want war with everybody and blah blah blah.
But in the back of their minds, if they follow this good book, they do in fact look down at gay people and they won't embrace them as gay people.
Absolutely, because here's the thing. And this is a point I make all the time. Like, when you're cherry picking from the Bible the parts that you like that make you feel good, and you're ignoring the parts that are telling you, like, how to sell your daughter into slavery, like bears attacking children when they were making fun of that old guy, God wiping out the entire population of the earth because he didn't feel like they were acting right. When you read stuff like, when you ignore that stuff, and then you only take the parts that make you feel good, you're still promoting an organization that teaches to hate gay people, to tell your wife to shut up, to you know what I mean? It's all in the same book. Just because you're ignoring those parts doesn't mean that they don't exist. They're still in that book, and it also goes to show.
Hold on, Eddie. I have a question for you, man, real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Like, do you think? When you were born as an infant, like, how do you think you were born, and how were you recognized as?
Right. What was first, the chicken or the egg?
I was born after a night of passion between Riyad al-Masri and Zainab al-Masri in Lebanon in 1984.
Did you just say your parents' names over the air?
Yeah, I did.
I'm going to have to bleep that out.
So, I mean, I was born the same way you were born, dude. Two people who loved each other, had sex.
This is a penis. It inserts into the vagina.
We need to go into biology, but here's the thing.
Well, like, what I'm trying to say is, as far as like since you're atheism, or I don't know if you're not, yes or no, maybe.
Yes,
but,
yes.
Here's the. I grew up Muslim.
Because I'm starting to hear that maybe you're not, but you say you are. I don't know.
Yes.
No, he said he doesn't like labels.
We've done a show.
I'm an atheist. I just don't enjoy labels of any kind. But if I had to choose a name, I would be atheist. But the only reason I don't like being called atheist is because.
So do you like money?
Do I like? I am human.
Just go with it.
Okay.
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
But no, I'm just saying, like, because some people, they worship, like, as far as, well, whatever. I'm not going to touch that subject.
If anything, if this is a point I was trying to make earlier. If anything, I think if let's create a hypothetical situation where God does exist. Okay, in this hypothetical situation, God exists.
Hypothetical.
Just for this situation I'm explaining right now, I would actually. My logic tells me that God would actually like atheists more than anyone else because they're not asking him for stuff all the time. They're not looking to him for guidance on everything that they do. They're doing good in their lives for the sake of doing good, not because they're afraid of burning in hell for all eternity. Like, for all intents and purposes, God should like atheists a lot more than the people that cherry pick through his book. And I'm talking about.
So do you ever fear? Do you ever fear anything? Like, get scared of anything? Do you ever
I'm afraid.
Do you ever feel
the boogeyman?
Like one day if something happens to you, you're like, man, dude, I should have just
like the day that someone puts a gun to your head and this man's crazy and he's about to take your life. I always think about this.
Are you gonna say please God?
I always think about this in the back of my head. Yeah, like when you're, I don't know about you guys, but when I would get in a car accident, something that happened so crazy. And I'd be like, God, get me out of this situation. Like, I'm sorry.
And it happens.
Well, here's the thing. There have been, I can count them. I remember them all specifically. There have been 6 times in my life that I've come close to death. Seriously, some of them were like freak accidents. One of them was
Can you tell us really quick?
Like, for example,
First one.
I've had a gun pointed at me during a bank robbery.
Whoa! Because you were in a bank. You were working at a bank.
I was working at a bank.
Wow!
This was in Aliso Viejo, and we went through a robbery on
That's
Saturday.
a nice part of town.
Yeah. I think that was my cousin, maybe.
Second time.
Number 5.
Second time, I'm on Harbor Boulevard in Costa Mesa, and the brakes went out of my car.
I know.
Whoa!
And I almost rolled right into a busy intersection and got slammed by.
What did you do? Emergency brake?
Last second, the brake came back in and just.
Whoa!
Damn.
In Lebanon, I almost wandered into a landmine field.
That's kind of funny.
That one was funny.
That's kind of funny.
Let's see.
How'd he die? Wandered into a mine. Blew up.
I was at a concert at a stadium one time, and literally a block of concrete landed about a foot behind me. Had I been walking a little bit slower, I would have had a block of concrete just crush me. So that's another one.
That'd been a good lawsuit.
So I mean, but I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm anything special for coming close to death multiple times.
He has multiple lives.
All I'm saying is in life, when you live life, you will come close to death a lot.
Yes.
But that is no reason
every
to
day is a
fear.
risk.
Not only that, like you said, everything's trying to kill us. Bacteria.
Everything in the universe is trying to kill you. And a
Pollution.
lot of religious people say that, oh, the earth is so perfect and it was made for me. Like, no, the earth is trying to kill you every day of your life. Just being outside in the sun gives you cancer. At any moment, San Andreas Fault can go and California can become an island. At any moment, Yellowstone, there's a giant supervolcano at Yellowstone National Park that could destroy half of the United States of America. And that could go off anywhere between now and the next 300 years. We have no idea.
Hey, Kevin, what was God thinking when he made Africa with lions, tigers, crocodiles, and put man right there?
An example. I think he put an example, man.
I think he said he put an apple there. I was like, damn, that's a good answer right there, dude. Temptation.
An apple phone.
But that wasn't a good answer.
But that goes back to the point I was making earlier. Like, why lions and tigers and bears aren't evil.
Eddie, have you ever seen that movie? I know it's probably like, I don't know if you've seen it. God's Not Dead. Have you ever seen that movie?
I've seen parts of it.
You kind of remind me like of that guy where he's like not believing in the whole Jesus thing, and then he goes out and makes
90% of the scientific community. But go ahead.
Hey, this guy makes a research. You should watch that movie. It's pretty crazy how it happened, and I mean, it kind of sounds like that.
Did you watch Did you watch the Jesus Christ? Did you watch the Jesus Christ movie?
Here's the fascinating
Passion of the
thing.
Christ?
Religion fascinates me.
It's an issue. Yeah,
Kevin, let him talk, man.
Religion is a very fascinating thing.
We come to Earth with no instructions and no manual, man. So everybody basically just lives their life.
Well, that's not true.
That's why the Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth. You know,
blueprint, dude.
Oh man.
Wu-Tang.
All right, well, we're gonna wrap this show off, man. We're done for the night. Kevin, thanks for calling in, dude.
Young Summit.
About time you get involved with the show, bro. We're doing big things. Hey, you want to come in a couple weeks? Let me know, bro. I gotta let you go though.
Peace out, bro.
Later.